soon as I started to meditate, my guide, who I thought was my guide, he was there, stood behind me where he'd always been stood, and he said to me, "I've come to answer your question, for I am you and you are I." And I just sat and sobbed my heart out, because I said, how can I be you? How can you be me? I love you. Oh, and then he said to me, I told you you were a master, because he'd always said to me, be a master of one. Don't be thinking that you've got to be a jack of all trades, be a master of one. Yes, it does mean finding the courage to say what you feel you need to say from where you've been kept down in the past. That's speaking your truth, but it's authenticity it is just being honest with the person that's in front of you. It really is, even if you know that it's like, oh, I'm going to speak a truth which is going to make them feel uncomfortable, but they know it's a truth and I know it's a truth. The more that we can use that, be authentic in saying that, the quicker we can get past, I better not say that, I won't say this, and I won't, because we're not living true to ourselves or to each other if we're doing that. So that's what I believe authenticity to be. I feel everybody needs to believe in themselves, high vibrational being, because that's another one of my lifetimes that I know that I remember as a high priestess with doing my healing work. And so even though I can't, as Rachel, I can't see clearly what that looks like, I have an inkling, I have a knowing. So the more you affirm that you know it, the more you'll remember it.
Hello everyone, and welcome back to Turn Towards Love. And today's special guest is Rachel Rendell. She's a psychic medium from the UK. And our first question, well, welcome Rachel.
Thank you.
And thank you. Our first question is the question I ask to everyone, and that is, what does love mean to you?
Do you know, it's always the same answer that I give if someone says to me, what does love mean to you? And I could be very brief and just say, love is. Love is everything. Mm-hmm. Love is everything. It's everywhere. It's where we come from and it's where we return to. So I see love as the whole consciousness that is what we're all part of, whether that be on the earth plane or whatever universe we're in. That's what I see love as, a consciousness.
That's beautiful. I'd say the same as well. Everything, yeah. Absolutely. And when was the last time you turned towards love instead of fear? And how did that make you feel?
So I'm doing it on a daily basis. Yeah. Having been somebody that suffered with anxiety for the whole of my life, when I began to realise that I had a choice and I could decide whether or not to allow the fear to be what engulfs me, and I realised that actually it's turning towards love is going within the heart space. That's how I see it. And it's making that decision to go within the heart, to live from the heart. So I do it on a daily basis.
Absolutely.
All of the time. Yep. You know, it's with very simple things. You know, if someone says something that I feel, oh gosh, that was a bit below the belt, where I turn inwardly rather than taking things personally. So yes. It's a way of life. It's a process. Mm-hmm. That's what I see it as. So so I don't know, when did I last work? Some stage today I would have done it, I'm sure.
Yeah. It creeps in everywhere, fear. It's like I know in every nook and cranny.
I'll tell you what though, I've made friends with fear.
Yeah.
I talk to it in a way. So I've made friends of where I say, I see why you're telling me to be afraid of that, but let's reframe it and look at it a different way. You know, sometimes when it's like, fear says to me, don't go round that corner. What I say now is, okay, I see why you're telling me not to go round that corner, because the last time I went round that corner, there was, something not very nice, but say there's something really nice. And you're telling me not to go round the corner just in case. So I've seen fear as, I've made friends with fear because fear thinks it's keeping me safe. So I'm teaching fear, you don't need to keep me safe, it's okay. I have a trust. Does that make sense?
That makes so much sense. And I think that'll help so many people.
I hope
I
so.
think especially now, because we face so much fear and uncertainty and the unknown, and if we just embrace it, like you said, we'll be able to like open ourselves up more to things instead of shutting down.
Well, it's reminding ourselves we have that choice.
Yes.
When I realised, okay, I have a choice, it's that. So I keep telling everybody, you have a choice. You can either choose to stay in that fear. It's really hard. I mean, making it sound like it's really easy, but it's not. No. But it is. It's breaking the habit of being fearful.
Yep, exactly. It feels to me, like in the morning, I found like, it can creep in really quickly and then kind of bombard and overwhelm. But and it's like it wants to take over and not let me do it sometimes. And I have to speak to it like it's there, and say exactly what you've said, be friends with it.
Yeah, it does. Because it's like I say, when you befriend it, feels different. Because you rather than trying to push it away, it's like you're teaching it.
Yeah.
So it puts a different spin on things. That's what I feel.
Yeah, exactly. And so could you tell us a bit about your background and where you first, felt your psychic abilities appear?
As a child, it was always there. My mother is a very good healer, but she's not used it in life, but she's a very good healer. And her mother was a psychic medium and a healer. And her father was a healer. He was a faith healer, so people used to be taken. I mean, he was born in the 1800s, so people used to get taken, wheeled in their bath chair, and they'd walk home. So that was my mum's father. So it was always there in the family. And as a child, it was around me, but never. So my nan would give me healing because I was quite a sickly child. So it was always around me, but never pushed on me. And then as a stroppy teenager, I shouted at them to leave me alone. I mean, I suppose as a small child, I always had this knowing, and in primary school especially, people called me weird. So you just stop talking about your experiences when I can remember being in the spirit world and choosing my parents. And I can remember saying to friends or, people in the playground, when you're in heaven, because that's what I called it then, when you're in heaven and you choose your parents, but no one knew what I meant. So I suppose it was always there. It was always a part of me. But it used to frighten me a little bit. So when I was a stroppy teenager, I told them to go away and leave me alone. It was... had a beautiful dog, and he passed to spirit, and he used to come jump on the end of my bed every night after he went to spirit. And even though I knew that it was him, it still used to freak me out. And I just asked them all to leave me alone, and it just switched off, just really stopped until I was 30, I think I was 30. Yeah, probably about 30. And I just read a book that my brother randomly gave me, and all these light bulbs started going ding, ding, ding as I read it, just realizing the book was The Meditation Plan by Richard Lawrence.
Oh, I've not read that one.
Yeah, it was given to me to wake me up, I think. My brother's a bit like that.
Oh, wow. And so did you just fully embrace it from then on?
Yes, I say I woke up and I changed my life completely. I started to realise that I had an importance. I got divorced, and then met my current husband, who's my soulmate. And just from there on in, because I was with somebody that accepted me for who I was, I've been on this long journey since then, so 26 years. This year. Well, it's 27 years ago that I read the book that made me wake up, and 26 years ago.
Oh, wow. Nice cycle. And so do you feel like it is like that for us all, like just saying yes?
Yeah. It is, if somebody tries to put me on a pedestal, I say, no. We've all got this. I've always said, when I've been with mediums before, they say, oh, we're the chosen ones. And I say, no, we're not.
Yeah.
We're not. We've all got it. It's just that I suppose, fine-tuned it. I use it. If you imagine, if you break your arm and you've had it in a cast, when you have the cast taken off, you have to start using it again before it if you just sit there and you hold it like that there forever, the use of your arm's not going to come back. So it is about using it.
Yep, exactly. And I could ask you so many questions about how you use it, and it's like, because I feel like I've had certain psychic moments, and they come to me not controlled, though, not managed, but it's intense. So what would you say for people who feel like they are intuitively aware of the things that are happening, they're starting to notice that, but they don't know what direction to go in?
Well, it's not something you switch on and switch off. So it's there. It's part of all of us. So it's about recognizing it. It's about observing and trusting. So it's not about all of a sudden gaining something that you didn't have before. It's already there. That's what I mean about, like, if you've had your arm in a cast, if you don't use it, you're not going to bring that back. So it's using what's already there. I suppose in different degrees, because awareness, the more that you're aware, the more that you trust. We all use our intuition on a daily basis, and a great one for just saying to people that you use your awareness on a daily basis is to think, how do you decide what you're going to wear in the morning?
Yeah,
I've
just done a video on that.
Have you?
Yeah.
We have that awareness. Sometimes we might decide the night before, if we've got a meeting or something like that I'm going to wear that, and on the day of the meeting you get up and you go, no, I don't want to wear that. That's because that's the part of your soul that's talking to you. It's like, no, that's not the right thing, even though your head decided it before, your intuition. Exactly. And everybody feels it different places on their body. I mean, there's lots of sayings, isn't there? My gut tells me, or I feel it in my water. And so everybody uses it differently. It's just observing how it comes to you, because we all have the different clairs, the different senses. Clairvoyant, is the seeing. The clairsentient is sensing and feeling. Clairaudient is the hearing. I like saying, the clairalient is smelling. And because I like to just say, I smell.
Yeah.
So we've all got it. Sometimes I bet there's loads of people that go, oh, I thought I smelt perfume. That reminded me of my gran, or I smelt a perfume, or I smelt a cigarette, and it's thinking about when you get that and there's no one smoking anywhere near you, it's just to think, oh, who did you know that's in spirit that smoked, you see? So all these subtle little things that we just need to pick up on.
Yeah, it's like it's all around us. It's like coded all around us. We just need to notice it, see it, witness it. So that actually brings me on to my next question about imagination, intuition, and the psychic knowing or understanding. And that kind of, I think sometimes we can get confused, or it can get foggy. Sometimes it can be super clear what we say we want to do or making a certain decision, and then sometimes it can get foggy. Is there a difference, do you think, between those, or is it?
I think there's a difference between, so daydreaming is wishful thinking. So daydreaming, I see, is that you're in your head. It's something that you want, and this, because manifestation has become sort of a trendy thing. People spend time daydreaming about it, but that's not how to manifest it. You have to live it. So imagination is your soul. I don't care what anyone says. Nobody can convince me otherwise. When we meditate, and we have these, the imagination is how we open up the mind to allow it to go out on a journey. So imagination it's about trusting that we're going out through the heart. You're embodying it, but it's your soul. Whereas daydreaming is when you're in your head. So everything with work. I like to say to people just to find what is your head and what is your soul. Your ego is your humanness. That's the head space, whereas the soul is the heart. So if you can do everything to live from here, when you're imagining something, it's coming from here. When you're daydreaming or you're thinking it, I think it's coming from here. That's the way that it works for me.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Makes full sense. Yeah. I try to do the same. I feel like when making a decision and I'm unsure, it's just coming here inward to here and seeing what it feels like to me. And I think it's being brave enough as well to make those decisions, because I felt like personally it's like it can be a people pleasing thing, so I'll do it for the person, but inside it's like, it needs that rest, or it needs this, or it needs that, but you're pushing. I think we can push, can't we?
Yeah. So again, that's because when it's a people pleasing thing, that's because you're thinking about it. So it's like I one of my mottos years ago when I was training myself. Well, I didn't train with anyone on the earth plane. I trained directly with spirit, and I used to say, "Oh, okay, feel it, don't think it," because I'm very clairsentient. Because I do a lot of healing work, so I do as much healing as I do readings, actually, and so the clairsentience is what I've really fine-tuned, I think. So a lot of my knowing comes through the sensing and feeling. And one thing that we didn't touch on was trust is really, really, really important. That the more that you do a deal with yourself to trust that whatever is there, whatever is coming through, you trust that it's your own guidance. The more that you do that, the clearer it becomes. I was going to say easier, but it's never easy. I've been doing readings for 24 years, and for all of those 24 years, before every single reading, I'm sitting there and I can hear Rachel's head, and she's going, "Oh, what are you doing this for? What if you can't? What if you don't get anything? What if you make a fool of yourself? What if you?" And then once you start in the flow, it's just that trust that once you start to speak, there it is.
Oh, I know. It's such a beautiful thing to actually have and to have faith in, and to be able to go, it's okay. Spirit's got my back on this one. Like, it can just relax.
Often it's not spirit. I find, because I've been teaching people to use their intuitive side for a long time, it's often not spirit that they're not trusting in, it's themselves. So you did something that's really great just now. You touched here. Wherever you place your hands on your body is where your attention goes. So when you're trying to make a decision, if you're going, "Oh, I don't know," you're thinking about it. If you say, "What would be best for me?" and you place your hands on your heart space, so you did it without even, you're already doing it.
I try my best in every moment to be in my heart space. I've worked on it so much, and it's just, I think when I really opened up, it was just, there was so many tears, and it made me realize how much people need to cry, and like let it out. Crying
is part of the body's healing process. So when somebody doesn't cry, they're keeping in that what needs to be released.
Yeah, exactly. And I wanted to ask you as well, because you do some channeling as well.
I do. I've known for over 20 years that I can channel.
Yeah.
And I've always said, no, I'm not doing that. So I do readings, and I know when I'm doing my readings that the people's loved ones in spirit, I can feel that they come very, very close to me. So I know that in some of my readings, I am channeling, because sometimes I forget to say, I forget that I'm there. Sounds very strange, but I forget that I'm there. It's like I step out of the way and I start saying I, and then I have to think, oh, hang on a minute, I can't say I because it's going to confuse the person sitting in front of me. So I know that I very much do channel people's loved ones. I don't put that out. I've never said that actually out there very much to people. So I know that when I'm doing a reading, there are times when it feels very appropriate to channel, because the person sitting in front of me absolutely needs to know it's their loved ones without a shadow of a doubt. And body language, I think, even though when you're in spirit you don't have the body anymore, if you're coming through somebody that does have the physical, to be able to show someone body language and everything, it means that they don't have a doubt. So I know I do channeling in my readings.
Yeah.
But to actually sit there and be a channel, I've always had this resistance against it.
Right.
So over 20 years ago, I remember there was something that happened when I used to run meditation groups, development groups, and there was this particular development group that I was doing, and you couldn't make it up. This story, there were 8 people coming. 2 people were coming together in a car, and they hit a badger and wrote their car off on the way. So they had to ring me and say they weren't coming. There was somebody had flu, so they couldn't come. Somebody else overslept. Somebody else forgot. And out of the 8 people, 7 of them were kept away by spirit. And this one lady came and she said to me, well, do you want me to go then? You don't want to, do your 2 hours with just me. She said, it's not beneficial for you. And I said, no, there's something going on here that spirit of, made sure that this has happened to keep everyone away. Yeah. And I did this whole channel for her. I could feel that was one of those instances where she needed to know and believe that there was something more. And that was when I knew I could channel. And that was the only time then I thought, okay, I'll get out of the way and just let them use my body. So I've always been uncomfortable with it. But last year I did the first channel? I can't remember, to be honest. Time is just a weird thing at the moment.
I know.
But I've been talking to galactic beings for many moons. And my first Pleiadian guide, I used to call them a star being, was 2002 was when they started to work with me.
Oh, wow.
But a few years back, Arcturians and Syrians, they started to talk to me, and I was doing a recording. Because sometimes I just know. They ask me to do a recording, so I just set the computer up and start to talk, and then they come. So that's the way that I do it. I've not done it where I can sit and call on them. It's like they call me. I don't know whether I probably could do it by calling on them. Yeah. But that's not the way that I've worked with it so far. I'm going and waffling.
It's like they ask you. At a perfect time when it needs to come through, which is lovely.
It is. And I know that the resistance needs to go, because I channeled Sekhmet.
Wow.
I know. I didn't know she was coming. So I channeled.
Can I ask?
I can't. I don't know. Do you know? I don't even know whether I did it. Yeah. I might have put it out on my YouTube channel. I have no idea whether I put that out or not. Right. I've got not a very good human brain memory, because I always say I work so intuitively all my life that it's like my brain's gone to sleep. So I don't know, to memories of things like that. But I know that Sekhmet came, and she sort of channeled through her. Gosh, what an intense energy she had as well.
Oh my gosh. Can you explain anything and how that felt for you?
It was all to do with justice.
Yeah.
It was all to do with unfairness.
Right.
And I suppose a strength. I could feel her wisdom, and I felt that she was giving me her wisdom, and I feel her around often.
Yeah. It's like do you recognize those energies then when they come to you? It's like you know what they are because of how uniquely tied to like those experiences that you've had with them?
Well, I feel like they tell me who they
Do
are.
they? Oh,
So I don't always, I can't always describe what I'm
yeah.
seeing, but there's a lot of telling me. So sort of clairaudiently, but like having a chat in your own head.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah. You did mention on one of your videos about your guide and your master stepping into you, and that I was really intrigued about that and the story behind that.
Well, that was 2024.
Mm-hmm.
I always go with any knowings that I have. I go with it. I don't question things when I know that it's my higher knowing asking me to do something. I don't question it. I just do it. And I kept saying out loud, who am I?
Mm.
Who am I? And I put real energy into asking, who am I? And I'd been doing that for, I don't know, quite a few weeks. And on a Sunday morning, I like to come into my therapy room, and I've got lots of crystals and things in here, and I just come in and I say, hi guys, just you and me today. What are we doing? So I like to sit in here and meditate. As soon as I started to meditate, my guide, who I thought was my guide, he was there, stood behind me where he'd always been stood. And he said to me, I've come to answer your question.
Oh, wow.
For I am you and you are I. And I just sat and sobbed my heart out, because I said, how can I be you? How can you be me? I love you. Because I had love issues, which I'd been working on for years, and I thought I'd cracked it, but obviously not. And I just realised that. Oh, and then he said to me, I told you you were a master, because he'd always said to me, be a master of one. Don't be thinking that you've got to be a jack of all trades, be a master of one. You're a healer and a medium. And that's what he'd always said to me. Don't need to do this course. You don't need to do that course. You're a master. I just used to think, oh, okay. But I used to listen to him. So yes, he said, for I am you and you are I. I told you you were a master, didn't I? And what did he say to me? Oh, I should have picked up my diary and brought it. He gave me a saying. What was it that he said? It was all about the numbers. It came out at Sob. It sounded like sort of writing it. And it came out with the number 11 as a master number. That was how he told me I was a master. Telling me to write down, standing in love is my constant state of being. He said, write this phrase, standing in love is my constant state of being. So I wrote it down, and he said, now take the first letter of each word and add them up, which came to 92, which in numerology is 11, being the master number. And that was how he told me that I told you were a master. That's you. That's what he said. And then that was, I think that was about September time. And then November, I asked him a question. I put it out there, and I couldn't sense him. I couldn't feel him stood behind me. And I asked him, where are you? You're not going to leave me, are you? And he said to me, how can I leave you? For I am you and you are I. I am within you. That's what he said to me. I am within you. And so it changed completely. And when I realized he really was within me, not outside of me, that I had a deeper wisdom, a deeper knowing, a deeper trust, a deeper sense of self, self-loving, self-acceptance, self-acknowledgement.
Yeah.
So it was just wonderful.
Yeah, I can imagine.
And then he started to say to me, you're still calling me your guide. You need to call me the master within.
Right.
The master within me. And I went, oh, no, that digs up. I said, no. Well, I said, no, that's pressing all my buttons of, people would think I'm full of my self-importance. No. He said, this is what you need to do. So now I always say the master within me, and I don't feel embarrassed about it anymore, because I think the master is within me, and I know that I know I'm a master.
Yep.
Mm.
Exactly.
So use that story. If anyone listening to this, it's like, well, all of you listening to this, you take that story and believe in yourself,
Yep.
Believe in who you are.
Yeah, I think that's the question on everyone's lips is who am I? And I think that story is so beautiful for everyone to go into themselves and really, allow it to open and unfold for them as well.
Well, there's
So
a lot
nice.
of power in putting that out there. There's
Yeah.
that when another way, if you're trying to train yourself to use all your different clairs, all your different senses to see how you work, is when I'm talking to spirit, I don't, if there's something big that I'm needing to make a decision on, I don't put the question out and then sit there and wait for the answer. I just go, got a question for you. I'll throw it out. Can you give it to me when I'm not concentrating on it?
Right. Mm-hmm.
That there's power in that, because then the answer comes to you when you're not thinking about it. So you've disengaged your brain.
Right. So it's when you least expect it.
Yes.
So ask for when you least expect it to come
Yeah.
in.
Yeah. And it's often when we're doing the mundane things.
Yeah, found that as well.
Because there's the other thing that I always say to people, how to know whether it's your soul's guidance, your soul talking to you, or your ego, your head, your humanness, is the first thought is always the soul. The second is always the ego.
No way. My granddad used to say to me, in exams and things, always go with your first answer.
Yes, because that's your soul's guidance.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah, that's lovely. Yeah. That lands for me. So there was also I heard on a video you mentioned about your trip to Nepal.
Oh, well, that is the master within me.
And was that story? Because you mentioned about a past life that you visited, and I was wondering if you could explain a bit about that.
Now, which one are you picking up on, I wonder? The master within me is from Nepal. I wonder whether it's because I have a Japanese lifetime.
I think that was it.
So there's a Japanese lifetime where I'd been working on, when I first started working on fear and the feeling of injustice. So I observe myself a lot, and this is how to break through with lots of things. And I observed my behaviour one particular day, and I sat myself down and I just said, "What was that all about? That wasn't a very spiritual way to behave. What's pressing that?" And I was kind of taking it back until I realised, there it is again. I'm always sort of feeling like life's not fair. And I realised how much I really was ingrained in me that life is not fair. And I started to affirm the opposite to that feeling, that emotion. Every time I caught myself going, well, that's not fair, I'd say life is fair and just. So I had this affirmation, life is fair and just. Life is fair and just. And then on days where I could really feel my ego protesting, well, it's not, is it? This happened, that happened. Look at what this is. That's not fair in the world. Look at this. And I kept saying, life is fair and just. Life treats me fairly. And I don't mind sharing, it was so ingrained in me that when I first started to affirm life is fair and just and life treats me fairly, I literally stamped my foot. I stamped my foot and said, stop saying that. So the part of me that really, it was ingrained in me, and the ego wanting me to continue to believe that life's not fair. So I'd been affirming this life is fair and just for some weeks. And again, where I gave myself space on a Sunday morning, and I went into meditation. I had no idea what I was going to do. And I went to my Japanese lifetime.
Wow.
And I found myself, and I was in this, I slid back this sort of bamboo door, And I knew that it was me standing there. I knew that it was part of my soul had gone to rescue me in that lifetime, because there is only now. Remember, there's no such thing as past, present, and future. So it's that lifetime. And I put my hand through and I said to her, "You must come with me, and you must come now." And she said, "I can't." And I had this knowing that she was living there with a tyrant, and the whole village that she was living in was under this tyrant. And the presence of this make me feel emotional. When I talk about it. The presence of me in the village. It's like I was taking the brunt of the tyrant. And as long as I was there, it wasn't as bad for the rest of the villagers, because I was taking the brunt of it. And I stood there and I said, "You must come with me." And I looked back at me, as the Japanese lady looked back at that part of my soul that was there, and said, "No, I can't." And I reached out and touched my fingers. And as soon as I touched her fingers, she held my hand tight. She didn't even put her shoes on. And she just came through the door, and we just ran. And we ran and we ran and we ran and we ran. And I've left her in a tea plantation in the mountains. And I hugged her goodbye, and I said to her, "Never believe that life's not fair and just, because it is." And I check in with her now and then. And she's so happy that I rescued her. And I let her see, you're living a life of tyranny when you don't need to. You're doing it for other people and taking away their life lessons by taking the brunt of it. So there's a there was multi lessons through that. But yeah, we can all do that. We can all go into our other lifetimes in meditation and make a difference.
It's incredible. I mean, the whole build up to that experience as well, and then using that lesson that I am just, and taking that in there and helping, her through that moment. It was like all meant to be.
Yeah. And I can remember sitting there and thinking, I can't tell people about this. People think I've gone mad. And I thought, no, I'm going to share it, because there must be other people that are going into other lifetimes. Going into other lifetimes started for me when COVID was here, and it was when it was lockdown. And because I wasn't afraid of COVID, I didn't believe that it was real, to be honest. But the only thing that filled me with fear was the authorities. It triggered all of that for me. So I thought I was going a little mad, because I kept going into moments of where, so I'd be washing the dishes physically, but I would go, that's a bit weird. I was riding a horse, or I was sat on a tree stump in the woods, or I was doing something else. And I was like, what's happening? So again, I asked my guide, because I thought he was my guide then. He's now, I know that it's my higher self. And so I asked him, what's happening? And he said, you're just coming into more conscious. You're being more conscious, living in the conscious rather than the subconscious. I always see the ego, the human, as the subconscious, and the soul as the conscious being. And the more we can practice being conscious, the more soul growth we have.
That's it. Oh, that really is it for me. I really feel that, because I think during my practices, I wasn't able to go out of my body. It would come back in. And then when I was able to consciously kind of, I don't know whether structure is the right word, but the awareness of it was like, then I was able to move around. It was like I had to become aware or conscious of that. So I really get that. Must be, yeah. I think it, the fear of not being able to fully, truly, authentically be yourself in a way, because I felt that fear of my personal, I've had an out of body experience in it, and I felt so like coming back to this life now, I felt so then separate, and I had to work through a lot of nothing separate, but like it felt kind of isolating, and what is that? Like, because it can be so out there to experience, and to then ground back into self and like live a kind of normal daily life. What would you give advice to for people like that?
Well, I think, it's living it through the heart. It's everything comes back to dropping down to be living life through your heart, because that is soul. That's the truth. All the rest is, the human part isn't the truth. That's not the real. That's the subconscious, and that's what we believe to be real. So it's daily choices of being conscious and knowing that you don't switch on being spiritual and then you think, oh right, I'll just turn that off because I'm going to go and do that. It's a way of life,
Yep.
Does that answer that question? I don't know.
No, it absolutely does. Yeah. I think that I don't know whether I'm speaking about it then as if it's something alien or different, but I guess it's how to I don't know, it's accepting that.
Well, the outer body experience, that is the truth. It's I suppose it's cracking being in the body but living like you're out of the body.
Yes.
It's making it your daily practice is spiritual. Sort of like you look at like mindfulness. Mindfulness, it's so difficult.
Yeah.
To be present in that moment all of the time, because that's the trick to life, isn't it? Is mastering the mind.
It is. Absolutely. Thank you for that. So do you feel like in each lifetime we are, say, like, are we living like a character? Do you feel? Is it like, are we learning lessons as this character, and then different versions of different people to learn those lessons, for the soul?
Yes, I believe so. Yeah. I believe that we can choose what lifetimes we want, based on it's like I think the earth plane is the best place to learn, because when we are in a human body we have emotions and feelings to deal with, and the emotions and the feelings, that's the ego, and if we allow those to define us, then we're not living through the heart, you see. So I know that there are souls where I've had a couple of near-death experiences, and so I know that there are plenty of souls lining up waiting to come here, because it's such an experience to learn, to raise our vibration.
Yes.
Each lesson is to raise our vibration. Sorry, go on.
And do you think the new souls that are coming in now, I've heard that, they're coming in awakened, like, or remembering, whereas we forgot and kind of remembering on the journey, they're already remembering.
Yes. Yeah. Because they'll come in, like you say, with a lot of that remembrance to start with. And we can, I love to walk around saying, I remember. Yeah. I remember everything. I remember who I am. I remember my lifetimes. And I do, I've had lots of those experiences. So it's giving yourself permission, because intention is a powerful thing.
Absolutely. Are there any more of those experiences you'd like to share?
What, past life ones?
Yeah.
I remember, this was a long time ago. I had a fear of dogs, and I couldn't listen to a wolf howl without all my hair standing on end and going, oh no, turn that off, and one day I was walking along the pavement and there was somebody coming towards me with this big dog on a lead, And I really was afraid of them, ridiculously afraid of them. And I ran into the road, and it was a near miss with a car. And I thought, this is ridiculous. I've got to do something about this. This was in the early 2000s. And again, I threw it out to Spirit and said, look, what is this irrational fear about dogs and wolves? Can you give me the answer, please? So I again throw it out there. One day I was meditating, went back into another lifetime, in North American, an Indian. I was in North America, and I was sick. I was a lady in that lifetime. My husband in this lifetime was my brother in that lifetime. I just recognized their souls. And my brother in this lifetime was my partner in that lifetime. Yeah. So we were all three there. We were one particular Indian tribe, and there was another Indian tribe that was catching us up, and it was tribes that didn't get on. And I was ill, and all three of us knew that I was nearing my end. I was going to pass away anyway. And I was slowing them up, and it was deep, deep snow. And I knew that the rest of the tribe were going on ahead, and that both of them are supposed to go and leave me. And I was quite insistent. No, you need to leave me. And they put me down in on a stretcher in the snow, and I sort of heard their squeaky footsteps going away. And as I was lying there, I heard this wolf howling, and I knew that they were coming closer and closer. And I was lying there terrified that this wolf was going to rip me to shreds. And then I heard her footsteps, and this wolf appeared. She sniffed all around, and she was so gentle. She came up, she went like this, and she opened her mouth, and I felt her warm breath, and she gently put her mouth over mine like that. And she stayed there until I stopped breathing. And then and I was watching all of this like an outer body experience. And after she knew I'd passed, she stood there, she honoured my body, and then she called in her 3 cubs, and they feasted on my body. When I came back from that meditation, I was not afraid of wolves or dogs ever again, because I knew that the fear I remembered was the fear within me that I was going to be ripped to shreds. But she came, she suffocated me gently, she honoured me, then she ate me. And do you know who one of my strong animal guides is? Wolf. I can finally tell that story without crying. I mean, every time I've ever told it.
Wow.
And she walks alongside me always, every morning. She's there 6 o'clock every morning. I go out and walk my medicine wheel in my garden, and she's there every morning. So,
gosh. Oh wow! I don't think I have words for that.
See, that's by throwing it out to Spirit and trusting what comes in meditation.
Yeah.
Because we've been taught that, you're just imagining it. Yep, I'm imagining it. Imagination is my soul going out on a journey. Thank you.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. Because there are questions like that I would love to be answered as well, on why to relieve fear. And I'm sure there is for everyone, especially certain things like not understanding why we have fear about certain things, like some people have, small spaces, or for me, it's like the water, like being drowned, and that all leads with different things in my life. But there's always an answer, maybe in the past life, that we can tap into to help us heal it in this life.
Yeah. Although I don't see it as a past life, I see it as now.
Yeah.
Because there is everything is now. And I know that at the moment, those of us who are on the earth plane, we've chosen to be here at this time because we're doing something greater for humanity to change. And a lot of it is fear. So the more intention we can put into healing things in this lifetime, it's changing all of the others. So nothing is set in stone, because it is only here and now.
Yep. So it's parallel lives all happening now.
Yes. So if you change something in the now, I've done this with with my personal healing journey that I've gone on. I've gone back to a place in my life and changed the path that I walked down. And I've seen the changes with the people in my life where I've gone and done that.
Wow.
Sounds a bit cryptic, but it works. We can go back and we can make a decision to do it differently.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I would love to do that. I'm sure everyone would at some point. Yeah. Wow. So I'm so curious to what you think 3i Atlas is.
Oh, it's a conscious being.
Yeah.
I think it's a very high vibrational energy. A living being, just like Gaia.
Yeah.
I don't know whether it's, yeah, I do. I think they are a living consciousness that is, such high vibrational energy. A lot of wisdom.
Yes. So with the shift that's happening in the world at the moment, like in astrology, it's like, the shift into the Aquarian age or the Golden Age or so have you received any guidance about what's happening in during this shift at this time? Because it's kind of unprecedented. Especially I've heard there's prophecies that are happening now and are coming true. And there's prophecies about in the UK and in Europe and about floods and about, like natural disasters that are happening around the earth. Have you received any information about that?
Well, I have, and they keep telling me that that it's so changeable because it feels like humanity's doing better than they could have ever thought. So we're in times that have not come before. Mm-hmm. And I truly believe that the more that we can remember that we too are galactic beings, we are spiritual beings, we are earth angels, we have all of that power to be love and to be pure love, that we don't need all of those disasters that maybe we would see it as to wake us. Well, we would need them to wake us up if we're not waking up fast enough, and it feels like, how are they showing it to me? It's like iron shavings. They're showing me that as one person is waking up, and it's like there's all these people sticking together. It's like a magnet, that it starts off as one shaving, but because it's attracting, so it's about like attracting like.
Right.
And each one of us that is waking up to understanding and knowing love, it's our conscious decision to stand in love and to train fear otherwise. Mm-hmm. So I don't sense floods. I mean, a long time ago I was shown that when I was at Stonehenge. Gosh, that was probably in about 2001. I expect something like that. I was at Stonehenge and I was meditating, and I did see big swathes of America being washed away.
Wow.
But I feel like we may have passed that time. I feel like the time that was shown that was going to happen, I feel like we may have passed it. So to me, it feels like it's kind of there. It's there walking alongside us, but it doesn't need to be brought in because we're waking up quick enough.
Yeah, I feel that. I do feel that, because have had those experiences and those dreams since I was a kid of that, and I didn't know whether it was a past life, like a different life, or whether it was this one, or whether it could be changed, or whether.
Well, you might be on the earth plane at the time of the Great Flood.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And I think it's, if you look at all the myths, they all say the same thing. There's that, whether you believe it as Zeus and Prometheus, or whether you believe it as Enki and Enlil arguing about human beings, like Prometheus, Zeus punishing him for giving human beings light.
I know Edgar Casey wrote about it in his prophecy, and I know it was to do with the Hopi prophecy as well. And when the 3-eye atlas, it was like that green light in the sky came through, and so I know there are different texts that say these things. So, but I think maybe we can create it ourselves on what we want it to be, and maybe we're waking up enough to change that.
Yeah, well, it's all about vibration.
That's it.
Everything is about vibration, so it doesn't have to be that way. We don't have to have the cleansing of the flood like it was before.
Right. So is there any last things you'd like to share that you feel needs to be shared at this time? Well,
I feel everybody needs to believe in themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Believe in yourself. Remember, you are a great being. I love to affirm that I'm a 12th dimensional high vibrational being, because that's another one of my lifetimes that I know that I remember as a high priestess with doing my healing work. And so even though I can't, as Rachel, I can't see clearly what that looks like, I have an inkling, I have a knowing. So the more you affirm that you know it, the more you'll remember it.
Mm-hmm.
And we're all a human habit. Okay, so human beings, we're all habitual. We shy away from change. So I like to say I embrace change. I love change. So it's observe yourself. So through observation of self, you can break all of those destructive, negative human patternings. So if that's one tip that I would give people, it's self-observation.
Yeah.
Watch your emotions and then find something that is a positive affirmation that affirms the opposite to the emotion that's dragging you down.
Yes.
I just think that's
the best advice.
Observation. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, and be authentic wherever you can.
Mm-hmm.
Authenticity is a higher vibration than love.
Yeah, so I've heard.
I know. That's been scientifically proven, that authenticity is a higher vibration than unconditional love. And that's like, wow, really?
I know. And it's defining what authenticity is then, isn't it? For each moment, I found.
Yes, because lots of people are jumping on the bandwagon. Oh, yes, I'm speaking my truth. And I think people are mistaking authenticity for speaking your truth. Yes, it does mean finding the courage to say what you feel, you need to say from where you've been kept down in the past. That's speaking your truth. But it's authenticity is just being honest with the person that's in front of you.
Yeah.
It really is, even if you know that it's like, oh, I'm going to speak a truth which is going to make them feel uncomfortable, but they know it's a truth and I know it's a truth. The more that we can use that, be authentic in saying that, the quicker we can get past, I better not say that, I won't say this, and I won't do that, because we're not living true to ourselves or to each other if we're doing that. So that's what I believe authenticity to be.
And that's beautiful. It gets very messy when we don't live in our truth. We try to cover it up. It just gets bigger and bigger and bigger. So, yeah, that's lovely. Thank you. And thank you for being on the show.
Oh, it's been lovely. Thank you. I've enjoyed the chat. You've got a lovely energy.
Thank you. So do you. It's been just so lovely to be completely involved in your stories. I can feel it all the way, I can listen to you all day.
I could talk all day as well. Anyone that knows me knows that I jokingly say I was put on this earth to talk, and I do it very well, thank you.
You do it very well.